we are going to get going with GitHub. If you don't have an account, you want to go to github.com. And I would suggest that you create an account that's a personal email so you don't get locked out of your account later on. And it's going to ask a bunch of questions. So if you go to github.com, you're going to sign up for GitHub. I suggest not using the WNCC email because then you can take it with you wherever you go. Use your personal email that you're going to use for a while. And then it's going to ask a bunch of questions. And you're going to choose the free account. As part of this, it's going to send a confirmation link to you. And I think it also is now forcing you to set up two-factor authentication, I think, like a text message or something. Has anybody here set theirs up already? Or maybe you set it up early enough? So we have some and some haven't. Okay, well, let's take a pause for a second while we get people set up that don't have it. We are going to create a repository. A repository is just a place on the web where you can store things and everybody can look at it. So as you're doing your code guru, it would be really good if you had a public repository that I can get to and you post your stuff in there. That'd be really good. Oh, and by the way, Trinity, look what I've been working on. I decided this is quite an interesting project and it ended up being way more complicated than I thought it was, but that's kind of what I ended up with. I'm not quite done with it yet. Notice up here it says a Kiwi allergy database using Copilot as a whole code helper. Yeah, well, it would have taken me a lot longer to do this. And I came up with a very marketable name, Food Allergy Shield. I think I will sell it and see how much money I can make. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's still a work in progress yet. I've kind of stalled on it. So Kiwi is a cross-platform platform that uses Python as its coding, but you can pretty much code it once and deploy it to iOS, to phones, or whatever you want. But to deploy to iOS or Macs, you have to have a Mac. And I don't have a Mac, so I'm stuck with Android and Windows. All right. So getting going with GitHub. Oh, I closed my GitHub, didn't I? Crud. Let me in. All right, so we want to create a new repository. If you're in your dashboard, which you may or may not be, you're looking for a new button someplace. If you've already created one, that's fine. We'll go create a new one. If you see your little picture up here, if you didn't put one in, you can go to repositories and create a new repository. I got 50. And I actually have people following me. I have no idea why they're following me. I even have achievements. Okay. So we're going to create a new repository. So everybody find the new button. If not, let me know. So it always starts out with your username, whatever that happens to be. And then the repository only has to be unique within your bunches of repositories. So unless you have a Hello World repository already. Now this is case sensitive because GitHub runs on Linux machines. So you can do it like this. You can do hello_world. I tend just to do it like this. That's fine. And then you could describe it. Are these necessary? No, the name is necessary. And you can rename your repository afterwards if you come up with a name that's dumb. Now, who do you want to see it? We want public, because otherwise I can't see it. If at any point you're lost or don't know what I'm talking about, it is your responsibility to let me know. We do want to add a README. A README is text that explains what is in your repository, which is not a bad idea. So for example, let me bring up one of my latest ones that I've been working on, which is the food allergy shield. That's been kind of a fun project. Does this mean anything as you look through it? What's bulldozer and all those things? Well, Here's a screenshot of what the database looks like. Here's the project structure, which you don't have to know that because it actually sets it up for you. The development platform, this is all actually, much of this is Copilot created. I haven't gone in to modify it yet just because I'm still trying to get this to work. I've got the Windows version working, but I can't get the Android one to work. It's more complicated than I can think of. And so most of my repositories have, there's one I did, the IIS tracker. Actually, it's supposed to come over. Tom was telling me the International Space Station is supposed to come overhead like about 7:30 tonight when he's out doing his astronomy, or 8:30 when he's doing his astronomy thing. So that would be cool. But I have a program that knows where the International Space Station is, and it does the weather and everything. That one I didn't, trying to remember, I maybe used a little bit of Copilot to figure out how to map this onto a map. Most of it I figured out on my own. That was a fun project. So that's what README files do. So we want a README file. What is a get ignore? A get ignore means there's all kinds of weird files that Python makes when it runs a program. We don't need to store those. When you run the program, it creates them anyway. So typically, if you're doing Python, you want a Python. So you don't upload things that you don't need to upload. A license. I usually use Creative Commons. You could use MIT. Basically, all of these are saying that your stuff is open source. Creative Commons is, I shouldn't say common, but quite often educational people use it because other people, it's like I'll share out my work, but I don't want you to make money for it or take credit for it. Please, if you use my program to start from, give me credit. And you can describe what you want Copilot. Oh no, we don't want Copilot to do anything. Not at this stage, unless you're working on a code guru. So we create our repository. And then it goes bloop, 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 bloop. There it is. That's a typical blank repository. So this is called a commit. Every time you copy files to your repository, it's called a commit, meaning you've committed them there. What's up here is what one of my students called the source of truth, meaning what's here is the right stuff. If you have a different version on your computer, it doesn't matter. This is the good stuff. Is everybody at this point? If you're not, let me know. Everybody's good? Okay. So you don't edit files on the GitHub website unless you just really like to cause yourself pain. What you do is you work on it on your machine and push your information up to GitHub. So you're synchronizing it. So you can work with your Visual Studio Code. So up here, we go to code, and we're going to open it up with GitHub Desktop. GitHub Desktop is a friendly graphical user interface way to synchronize files back and forth. So if you click open and it's not already installed, then you'll want to download and install it. And part of what it'll do when it starts up, after you install it, doesn't take very long, but it's going to ask you to sign in with your GitHub account so that then this program becomes associated with your account. And this one is associated with my account because I've used this before. So let's take a little pause here while people are installing their GitHub. Wasting my time. No, I'm not. If when you install GitHub Desktop, it comes up to this point, you're good. If it doesn't come up to this point after you've authenticated, then you would go to code again. And this time around, it won't ask you to install everything. It'll just open up and come to this. This URL is the website address of your repository you just made. github.com/ whatever your username is, / there's our repository, hello world. So a URL is computer sciencey IT speak for Uniform Resource Locator. It just means a web address. And yours is going to be different. Here, I have chosen in the past to put things on my USB drive. Is that my USB? Yeah. So I have a GitHub folder, and then all my repositories are underneath there. I was doing this with another class. And so whatever folder you want to pick, when you clone, it automatically creates a folder with the name of your repository in it. So if you had 10 repositories on your computer, you would have 10 different folders. You don't have to make a folder. If you click on the folder that's above where you want to store it, GitHub Desktop will make a folder for you. And clone means to make an exact copy from here to here. Everybody good so far? If you click clone, then it buzzes and whirs and does some stuff. And there you are. It tells you your current repository. And because GitHub was bought out by Microsoft, of course, we would open that repository in Visual Studio Code. Because they do, they own GitHub. It's part of their commitment to open source. You know, anytime a big company says commitment, I kind of like, okay, you're committed to making money, really. So then we open it in Visual Studio Code. That will open up the repository, and here's the files in exactly the same. These are exactly the same files that we have on the website, on your GitHub repository, I mean. So we are going to modify our readme.md file. A pound in front of something, this is called markdown language. A pound in front of a word or a sentence makes it a heading 1. And if you want to see what this is going to look like on your GitHub website, very handily, there is a preview button. And this is what it'll look like, except it won't be in dark mode. I like dark mode because it's easier for me to do screenshots and code. So hello world, well, not having a space, I'm going to put a space in there. And then I'm going to say something like, this is my hello world program for Python. Bill, I mean, whatever you want to put in there. If you want to have things on another line, you have to actually put 2 enters between them. There. Isn't that beautiful? It's not much, but it does tell people looking into that they're probably wasting their time, you know, cloning this for any reason at all. It's not that. Allergies. After you save this, I'm going to click this guy because I'm done. I don't need any more documentation. I'm going to go back to the little Octocat. I think that's what he's called. And look at there. GitHub Desktop, notice that, oh, you changed something. Right now, what you have here is different than what's up here. And we want them both to be the same. So the first time we copied this to the local computer, this time we're going to copy our changes from the local computer up to here. Now it's 2 steps. You would think that it wouldn't be 2 steps, but what GitHub does is it keeps track of your program at a certain point in time. So you can go back to that commit and see what happened here or what happened to here. And we'll take a look at that after we've done a commit. It's a good idea to put in some sort of descriptive title there to tell you what happened on that particular commit. So a commit is a snapshot of your code at that point in time. You could put it in a description. Usually I just put in something in here, but this one kind of filled it out on its own, which is what I did. I updated the readme.md. No biggie. So I'm going to commit that file to main. Main is the name of a branch. You can have multiple branches, but we're not. We're just going to have one branch. We're not going to make limbs and trees. So you commit it. What that does is it does a snapshot of your code at that point in time on your computer. It's not at the GitHub website yet. The remote origin or the origin remote is the GitHub website. That's where everything lives for sure. So we're going to push our local commit, we're going to push it up to the website. So we click push origin, and it'll buzz and whir. Now, we can go to view GitHub. And there it is. Now they're both the same. Everybody get that to work? If not, let me know. Because now we have two commits. So a commit is a snapshot. If we look in here, where it says two commits, we can see, oh, this was the initial commit 11 minutes ago. Well, let's look in there and see what we did. Well, look at there. It showed us everything that we created when we set this up. There's our README, right? There's our other guy, git ignore. There's our license file. So these were all the changes that were made the first time. Let's go back and see what happened the second time. It should go back at some point. Yep. So this is the one we just committed. We look in here, notice that it's showing that, oh, this line got changed to this line. Green means that it's added. So we are seeing the changes from the last program to this, from the last commit to this one. And this is all that changed. Everything else stayed the same. So as you commit, that's a snapshot. And if something goes wrong, you can roll back. It's like a backup of your code. Pretty cool. Once you get used to it, it is a whole different thing to work on. So the flow of working on GitHub is you work on it on your computer. Now, for instance, part of this should be making an actual Hello World program, isn't it? Or no? I thought, well, where is it? It probably just says create a Hello World program. Anyway, that's what we'll do. So I'm going to right-click new file, create HELLO, because now we know how to create a Hello World program, which at the beginning of the class, that was like, oh boy, this is magic. Print, hello, Python world. So now I've created a new file. And mine shows up green and stuff because I've got a Git program on my computer where I can synchronize right from Visual Studio Code. But these are good, using the GitHub desktop is good training wheels to get started. Notice I came over here and it said, oh, look at here, there's a new program. The green plus means that this is new. And it actually puts in create Hello World. And it shows you what's in there. So we would commit that, we'd take that snapshot right now. Now we have that snapshot stored on our computer. Now we need to synchronize that snapshot with the powers that be and the upper level of the GitHub empire. Yes, and commands are fine. This is, I think, an easy way to get started. Now, if we go up here and we go back to the beginning of our, let's see, I have to refresh. And there it is, my Hello World. When I click on it, it shows my code. There it is. Python, hello, Python world. Well, we're creative coders, right? This is just too boring to live. So we go back to here and we're going to make it look a little prettier. Let's see, we're going to print and let's see, do a bunch of dashes and copy and paste that. Maybe do some dashes down here, you know, just make it look nicer. Maybe we'll scooch this over. Ooh, yeah, now we're talking. Maybe we'll put one of these on there. Maybe put one of those on there, something like that. Yeah, close enough. Whoops, wrong place, isn't it? Anyway, whatever changes we make, GitHub will track the changes between our last commit and this one. So if we break our program at this point, we can go back to the one that actually worked. So one of the rules I tell people is commit early, commit often. By yourself, it doesn't matter, but the minute you work with somebody else, the first commit wins. I'm going to go back again, and there it knows my change. Notice it erased that and put in all these as new. So it doesn't modify the line, it removes the line and then adds the new one. If both Ignacio and I were working on this line at the same time and we changed it, we'd have a conflict and we'd have to merge the conflicts or do something. It rarely happens in real life because the odds of somebody committing at the same time in a 24-hour period are very slim. But when we're working together, getting things started in class, it happens quite often. So I'm going to commit this, commit to my local. I took a snapshot of that code. I'm going to push it to the GitHub website. Now it's synchronizing everything. If I refresh this guy or go back to here, it is now there. That's my new one. And I can look at the history. This is my first one. I can go back and look at the second one and see the changes. There. Which means that when you're working with a team, you can work on your part of the code, you can work on your file, and everybody's stuff is in the same place. And that's what developers do. Even if you're a single developer, you usually have some place where you store your code, because if you're writing open source programs for fun, why not let other people use them? You know, I don't know that anybody's ever used any of mine, but I did do my first open source contribution though. I was pretty happy about that. I'd never done that before. There it is. So I have a little, do I have a picture of it in here? Oh, this is the interface. I need to have a picture of it. Anyway, it's a little monitor that monitors temperature, pressure, light, and a bunch of other things. So I forked his repository, added a few things to it, and then did a request that said, hey, I think I have something that you might like. And he looked at it and he said, well, blah, blah, blah. I can't remember what he said. See, it says a fork of this. And then I don't know if he's merged it yet. He was going to test it before he merged it. Not yet, but it's going to get, he emailed me the other day. So here is my merge request. So he's looking at it, make sure it's good. And if he likes it, then he'll merge it into his code. So that was my first one I've ever done. That was pretty cool. So that's one way people can collaborate with code. And I don't even know if he's in where he's at, if he's in Russia or where he's at. Who knows? Now, another piece. Since you are a student, you can apply for the Student Developer Pack. What's the big deal? Well, you get some free stuff, plus you get the better GitHub. I mean, you get the better Copilot from GitHub, you know, and this is old, so I'm sure things have changed. It allows me to do GitHub Classrooms, which is where I'll manage any of our assignments. You'll get a link to a GitHub Classroom, and then all the assignments get put in that place, and it makes it easy for me to go through and grade them and see if they worked or not. There are a lot of partner offers, which I've never done any of them because they just were not that useful. But, you know, if you want the better Copilot for your own little projects, you know, there you go. It's up to you. That is not a requirement. Are there any questions on this?